further. Having a demo, I guess, puts you within 90% of people, but if you have a finished game to show, I mean, you finished a game, that's huge.
It is. I think from my standpoint, a lot of developers, they look highly on finished products, fully finished and as polished as possible products. It doesn't have to be selling, you don't have to be selling a million copies or anything. If it's a fully finished product, they know that you're an individual who can execute on something and get it done. And that's probably like one of the key things that they look for, is people can execute. I don't like, on the flip side of that though, when you do have a game and it does become successful, you're going to get a bazillion clones off of it, because that's kind of how, in my opinion, the industry is, like both in AAA titles and in casual titles. I'm sure you've seen it.
Being first to market's the only real advantage. For
Yes.
The ideas, like, pitching an idea to somebody, they, like everybody was saying, they have 50,000 ideas already, so it's probably not a big deal. But, when you do find success, I certainly wouldn't get upset when you see the first somebody copy, because it's just how it is.
It's actually kind of complimentary.
Yeah, and you basically the head start is what you get for being original. And sometimes that's all you need. It's kind of the
Too, I think the opposite, the opposite tack is, well, I've got this thing that's so special, I'm not going to tell anybody about it, and then that's the sure way to not ever see that get to the light of day. So.
I actually put a part of my forum, game ideas that I had, and I put it in stories and stuff like that out there, because I'm not afraid of someone stealing it. And actually, if someone took it and implemented it, I think it'd be cool. It's games I'd like to see up here, and maybe I'll do it myself, maybe someone else will do it. I'm not concerned about someone stealing those ideas. It's free for them to take.
And as far as bringing it, someone being careful that maybe the publisher takes your game, I don't really have too much experience with that, just because I decided at one point that I was going to be working for myself. So I don't have any plans currently to create a game with the intention of then selling the rights to it to somebody else. I'm not too sure what you can do other than, I guess if you're making a game with the intention of working on it later, I know you were planning on doing that originally, but I think I read somewhere where it's like you're not exactly going to be able to make a publisher sign an NDA because they're making games already, and then you have some scrappy group of heroes here who are trying to make a game, but they're like, but you can't tell anybody about it. It's like, well, if they make something similar, now they're legally.
Actually, that's a good segue probably to the next section. Is like the game I was making. It's called On Nuts, and it's pretty close to a Frogger game and Pac-Man mixed, but it's closer to Frogger. I just wanted to get some retro play, some simple gameplay. It was like my first game project. I wanted to do something as simple as possible for the mobile phone industry, and I had created a prototype that I had given out to some people to beta test, and I had sent it. Actually, I went to IGDA's website, and there's a public or an aggregate they're called the mobile industry, and they contacted me, and when I said, "Can you sign this NDA?" I sent them one of my standard NDAs, and they told me, "Screw off," basically. They're like, "No, we don't do that. Sorry." And I was like, "Why don't you just sign it? It's not gonna hurt anything." They just said no. And that was pretty much the end of our conversation. No feedback on my game. That they said, "All right, you're too much trouble." They moved on. So.
Yeah, anytime there's a big power difference, which could be anytime you're trying to get money from someone, or trying to get distribution from someone, or trying to get some larger thing, they look at NDAs like not only an insult, but like you were saying, like you're just kind of who you think you are.
You're a troublemaker. We're not going to deal with you. That's
and,
kind of the.
And they can say that, so yeah, you have to be careful when you put that sort of documentation in front of.
So I think that this does lead into the next topic. Everybody has all these ideas. I think the market is really growing, away from all these, kind of teenage boy games. And I think things like, the Wii and Guitar Hero really emphasize that there is a huge market out there that really hasn't been hit yet. And, these guys have done stuff that is not in the typical arcade game market and whatnot, console market. So this next thing is to talk about projects and details and kind of these new markets and how, how they get some of their ideas to these new markets. So anybody can start.
I'll start. One of the approaches I was deciding to take, and this was per one of the companies I outsourced to. They're called Flipside Games. They're located in the Philippines. They help me with the graphics on Game On Us. Really professional company. did a great job for me. They recommended, because I wanted to start hitting the X&A console market. The technology's not very, the platform's really easy to use, so I thought it'd be a quick way to get some game ideas out into the market. But they recommended this approach to me, and I tend to agree with them on it. Make a flash-based game initially, like one of those quick pick-up-and-play games, because that tends to be the demographics of Xbox Live. If it's successful, I'm sure you all heard of Desktop Tower Defense. One of the most popular Flash games out there. Get it out there, get some user feedback. If it's positive enough, then I'll take the steps of porting it into the X&A platform. And then X&A's got a pretty interesting approach to publishing Xbox Live games. They have this thing called pair publishing, where different peers who are members of the Creator Club, they review your game, and based off of a certain number of reviews, and peers, as they review more games and as they get better at reviewing, they have higher weight in their reviews. As you get more and more reviews that are positive, they'll take your game and publish it via Xbox Live. And I don't know what the details are after that, if you then speak with Microsoft and how you get paid after that. They said cut you a check or something like that every month, but that's the point where I'd like to get, and that's the pathway I'm on right now to move my company in that direction. So, anyone else want to chime in on that?
I want to talk about Flash, casual game publishing. I think that with better and better tools for Flash development, and with Flash on some 95% of browsers or something to that effect, I think it's a great emerging. I mean, it's there. There it is. Diner Dash, perfect example. It's not a great game. People talk about Diner Dash like it's holy, but it's not that great a game. I mean, it's cool, fun, but think about all the games that haven't been made that could be made that you could put out on a browser. I mean, my God, the mind boggles. I'm personally a huge fan of development. You can control the entire process, own it, have it out on a site, and publishing is essentially free rather than server space.
The interesting thing about using the Flash platform is it does, you can use keyboard mouse combination, and this is where casual games, I believe, are hitting a broader market, is that simple mouse play. You just click, click, click. What's the most popular game? Solitaire. Everyone knows what Solitaire is. It's a simple click, 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 click mouse game. And a lot of countries even like simple gameplay, like Korea. I was at GDC 06, and they couldn't stress enough, like on the cell phones, one button play. Playing games with just one button on your cell phone. And you think, like, oh, how can that be fun? But some of the ideas they showed were pretty innovative. I was like, you can do that one button. Wow, it was pretty impressive. So it's I hate to say this term, but your days are my thing. It's like you got to think out of the box. So, I hate to say that term, I really do. But
I'm sorry.
go ahead. No.
And I was going to say graphically, look at the Wii. Look at the games on the Wii. It's like, here's a cone, here's a circle, here's a sphere, here's, graphically, those games are not really advanced, but they're incredibly popular because they are easy to play and they're actually fun. And I think to a certain degree, console game developers have kind of forgotten a lot of that. For every good, fun game you play, there's a whole lot of games that are not fun, that are, needlessly advanced and annoying. And I could be done with them.
Yeah, I don't know how to stress this. There's not that many titles on Xbox 360 or something. I'm like really sweating over it. It's like, another shooter. Another shooter. Oh my God, another shooter. I don't know if you guys have noticed that trend. It's like 90% of the games out there are shooters, and it's really it's kind of depressing because that's kind of where the industry is. The larger guys tend to move on what's safer. It's, and the smaller guys, it's kind of like mirroring Hollywood with independent filmmakers and big Superman 1, 2, 3, 4, all these parts, part 5 of this, part 6 of that, because it's safe, or Dukes of Hazzard, old movies that they're trying to revive again because it's a safe formula for them. But the smaller indie guys, they're the ones who are kind of taking that step to push, they're pushing that whole thing. So I think, it's kind of nice to see that fruition in the market. I think a lot of us have that opportunity. Just you got to find it and start digging at it.
There's some who argue that the indies are the ones who actually are not innovating as much as the major players are, but there's a lot more indies, and when it comes to the major publishers, when it comes, you have to think about, okay, well, we know this game is going to sell pretty well because it fits this market. We know that